Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. Today, I'm doing something a little different. Okay, I usually try and bring you new esotericism, mind blowing stuff, but the guy that I have on today, Justin, is one of the first people who reached out to me and really told me that my work made a difference for him. His mom, he wrote me a letter. He sent me some stuff, and I want to hear more from you guys too. I want to hear more from you guys on what you think of the work, where you think it should be going, how it's helped you. I want to hear all of that because that's really what keeps me going. Okay, this isn't an ego thing. I just wanted to bring you a true testimony. So I'm going to bring Justin on, and he's going to tell his story, and he's going to explain to you what it is that he's gone through. Hey, brother.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
It's going well. It's going well. So you had commented on one of my posts or one of my videos a while back, and
Yeah,
I actually read it on a video that I did. And then you commented again, and it was a really long comment.
yeah.
And then you sent me a letter. I want you to explain everything because this is new to me. This is news to me. We talk from time to time on Facebook and everything because I try and keep up with everybody. Um, or at least everybody that reaches out to me. So I've reached out to you a bunch of times. You reached out to me, and I just wanted to hear your story, how you found me, how you got into my work, the story with your mom that you told me, and I just want to hear everything. So if you could just go ahead and explain to me what exactly it is that I do that's different from other people.
All right. Well, I'll start it off. 2017. I'm a 35-year-old guy. I used to associate with all the Joneses and growing up originally in Clearwater, Florida. I moved to Ohio about 10, 11 years ago. My mom's family was originally from this small town in Woodsfield, Monroe County, Ohio. And I mean, they literally have three traffic lights. So talk about culture shock coming from the beach to there.
Right.
Crazy. But in 2017, my mom first they diagnosed her with leukemia. All right, and she had some kind of a breathing attack, and they pretty much told her she had a month to live. All right, and this was way then. So then we did the whole nine. We took her home, did the hospice, and pretty much financially they said she wasn't getting any better and she wasn't getting any worse, so they graduated her was the term they used. But I mean, I that was good news considering, we got her completely away from all the pharmaceuticals. She was literally at that time in 2017, she couldn't get up from here to a bedside commode that was a foot away. We were all living in the same house, close quarters. It was just crazy. But
How many were you?
say that again.
How many were you?
Me, my girlfriend, and our two children, and then my mom.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
in a two-bedroom house. We like pretty much had a makeshift setup in the kitchen at that time. And that was some of the stressor because my mom was always a very independent, very did everything herself. And so to be that dynamic, that was some of it. I flipped her world upside down.
Right.
But I started. I've always been into the esoteric since I was a kid. I don't know. It's something I never fit in with quite anybody. I was the good athlete, but I was also the kid that lived in the predominantly African American neighborhood. So like I fit in everywhere, pretty much. I was the missing link. But
Right.
I originally I came across you on Leak Project. I seen an interview. I think you were wearing a gray sweater with like some purple writing or something. I can remember coming across. It was maybe 2 years or so. But I don't know, man. I've always been into astrology, and when I seen another guy talking about it like you were, it just kind of drew my attention right off rip. And then when I kept catching it, I would start to look forward when you came on. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, because like up until that point, I had pretty much I used to be all into the investigation discovery and just all that negative whatnot. And about 2018, with all that stuff with mom, I chose to like just filter all that stuff out and start with Gaia. Is originally where I started. Went through the David Wilcox binge and did all the wisdom teachings and whatnot, and that's really kind of what got me into a little deeper to like actually look even harder, you know. And when I seen you and with the every time, when it came on, when you were actually like giving it step by step the zodiac sign, and that's how I actually got all the zodiac signs to like stick. Because like you've heard it, everyone's heard it since they were a child, but it doesn't like you said before. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's woo woo," it's astrology, that doesn't count, you know. But when I seen your stuff, it just literally like I don't know. It. I had recently got into the Emerald Tablets. I had read all that stuff. I had read all the Enuma Elish stuff with that. I got into Sumerian for a little bit, and then pretty much honestly, I never had a really religious background growing up. I never had to go to church. I got picked on when I was 5 there, and I just steered away from it, and really I was like, what are they talking about? Because I was trying to interpret it in a linear fashion, and it just wasn't making no sense. But when I seen your work tied it all together here, little by little, I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me they're all talking about the stars here? And I'm like, no. And then I looked into it, and boom. And then as you go deeper, man, if you really, I like how you refer to it as a cipher. Because at first it was like, this information seems like, like we should know Aquarius is the water bearer, blah, blah, blah. But as I went in, it forced me to dig deeper and actually take a look for myself to learn it. And that's what I feel did me such a justice, with that astrology from you personally. But how this all becomes relevant, is I got my mom, like 2018, she was back to her own apartment, completely off all the pharmaceuticals, living. My mom struggled with mental health. She had tried to commit suicide maybe 6 or 7 times throughout my whole life, so I've dealt with that. I could tell when she had that look in her eyes. She knew not to mess with her because she was piss and vinegar, but she was 5 foot tall, and they called her the Pitbull, of course, okay? But anyway, I got her back right. It gave her sense of self again, and that's all you can really ask for from such a headstrong woman as herself, But she started doing better. Everything was good, and she'd come over a lot, just to get a break from the community center, the seniors living facility that, because she liked to smoke and she couldn't do that there, so she quit smoking cigarettes and all the above. Actually, she smoked for 40 years, so she was trying to take the necessary steps. She was back walking miles, believe it or not. I don't know how she was, and then she caught on that I was really getting into this astrotheology. And she couldn't really wrap her head around it per se at first, but she knew that I was an academic of sorts. So if I was digging into it and it was giving me that flair again, whatever you quote unquote,
Right.
She took notice, and it's weird because everything was going good, man. And then she started about this time last year, actually after Thanksgiving, she kind of fell and hurt her back, and she was having this problem with her like sciatic hurt her, is what they were saying. Well, go a whole year at her doctor. They keep telling her that her potassium levels are low. Well, that causes hypokalemia. It
Yeah.
could have been explaining the muscle. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. All right. Well, she
Usually
started
when
getting.
you have low potassium, they rush you to the ER to fill you with potassium because when your potassium plummets, you have heart attacks. That's
Yep,
one of the
because your
causes.
heart is a muscle, but
Yep.
people don't realize that. So how did they have her levels that low on file for a whole year? And this is supposed to be the whole reason she got with this doctor was because of a suicide attempt. So they're taking care of all the mental health in this area, but that that's neither here nor there right now, okay?
Okay.
You know? And it's like I let that go, because I just wanted the health for my mom going. So she went to this hospital, and it's a small town, and I tried to steer her away from it from the get go, and it was right by her house. She was feeling real bad. She went there. She went there all day. They gave her a COVID test, and she was completely negative, no problems. And then as she went there, they told her she had a heart attack, and that was where her issues were coming from with her breathing. So then she spent 3 days in the hospital. They were trying to find a heart trauma center, and the closest one that they could find was in Columbus, Ohio. So about on a Thursday night, I believe, they called me at 10 o'clock and told me, hey, we're transferring your mom to Columbus, and it doesn't look like she's going to make it. You need to get over here. And I'm like, man, I talked to her. She was against going on the getting knocked out and put under and all that stuff for the ventilator prior to any of this stuff going on. When 2017 they tried to do it, she didn't want to do it. Well, they were trying to do it right then, and she wouldn't do it, so they transferred her to Columbus. And
Right.
when she got there, the Columbus doctor told me, you better get here right now. So I live about 2.5 hours from Columbus. I got in the car, drove straight there. Got there, they had got her under control. Well, in the when all this had transpired, right before she left on that Thursday night at 10 o'clock, they gave her a second test for, I'm just going to say everybody knows. And it all of a sudden came up positive in the meantime. So then by the time she got to Columbus, they were treating her in complete isolation. And the doctor, this is why I told you it was relevant about her being low potassium, is because a week before that, she went to that doctor and told him she couldn't sleep because of the back pain. All right. Well, that doctor prescribed her Seroquel. Well, I'm familiar with my stuff, okay? Let's just say I have a past in that aspect. We'll get into that. But
Let's
I
just
told her,
say, let's just say I have taken Seroquel. I've been prescribed Seroquel. It is the one thing that will knock me on my fucking ass.
dude, anybody. Yeah. That and let alone the milligram they're prescribed.
You might be functioning, or you might be like, but you're not there.
Oh,
You're not there.
you're
You're
in the
doing shit, but
motions.
you're not there.
Yeah, you're in the motions for sure. And so I told her my mom had a backwards reaction to everything. Like if it was supposed to make you go up, she went down. Okay, so I'm like, Mom, you don't want to take that. I knew what it was. I told her no. And guess what? It kept her up all night.
Yep.
So then she took it the one time, didn't want nothing to do with it. Well, when she got to the hospital, that was on her medical file that she was on Seroquel, 25 milligrams every night, whatever. Well,
No.
they had been pumping it in her for a week and then wondering why she was irritable. And then they weren't listening to her when she was saying I wasn't supposed to take this. And long story short, how this all came about too was she called me on a Friday morning, completely crying, telling me that they forced Seroquel down her throat, pretty much. And my mom was like that was demeaning to her overall character. Okay, let's
Right.
just say that. But she didn't want me to tell the doctor. She didn't want me to cause any fuss, and my mom would fight. Okay, like my mom would fight, and so she was. I could tell it hurt. So long story short, that's how she wanted to get out of the hospital again. The recommendation was that she was getting better and that he wanted her to stay, but she just wanted out. She wanted out of the isolation. It was driving her stir crazy. She was getting they hadn't offered her to bathe her, and mom was too proud to even say anything. And so that's how she agreed to come home on hospice for the second time now, thinking that she'd just coast through it again like the first time and she'd graduate and she
Right.
she was getting out of that hospital at all
Now,
times. Like
when it comes to hospice, I think they only admit you if you have, is it 6 weeks or 6 months to go?
somewhere in there, I think.
It's six
I
weeks
think
or
it
six
might be,
months, guys.
yeah. And I mean, and she was I'll tell you this. When I seen her the day before, because it was my birthday last year, my 34th birthday, okay, February 10th. And she was there. she was on like 9 liters of oxygen, and but she was there. She couldn't get up. She knew everything. I had fed her. We went to all the cool places in Columbus that she never had before. All right, she was eating everything. When she got home the next day, she didn't know up or down. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know anything. Okay. Whatever transpired from that ambulance ride from Columbus to here, the anxiety, the low oxygen, the combination of all the above, it just got her. All right. Well, the doctor, they were trying to deliver the oxygen machine on a Saturday. I'm like, no, 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 no. She needs this to live. This is Friday. Okay. I'm like, no. She's on her way from the hospital right now. Like, you guys, we got to fix it. But I was just trying to do right by my mom. So I wasn't critiquing all their stuff, and the neglect and whatever. They got the oxygen machine there. Okay. We're cool. Well, the doctor's prescription was 20 liters. Okay. And I asked myself, we've made it to 2022. How come you've never heard of an oxidizer before that allows 20 liters of oxygen? You know why? Because the human body has a limit, and you can only take in so much oxygen before you're carbon monoxide poisoning, okay? Well, that's just A plus B equals C, all right?
Yeah.
Well, I was stressed out at that time, so I wasn't seeing clearly in that patch.
Let me just jump in real quick. People don't really understand this, but the air that you breathe, when you take a deep breath, okay, it's like 79% nitrogen and only about 20% oxygen. This isn't pure oxygen that you're breathing. So just because we live off oxygen doesn't mean we live off like 100% oxygen. No, that's not how this works.
Yep, exactly. So people don't underestimate that you could be living on a lower percentage of oxygen with all that other stuff and still be, surviving.
Right.
Well, the hospice nurse kind of looked at it and was like, "What? She has COPD? Nobody with COPD is supposed to get over like 4 or 6 liters ever. Just medical, that's
Right.
what it is, right?" Well, I lower her down. Within a week and a half's time, her consciousness comes back. She's back. So I'm like, yes. She was still twitching, like incredibly, like a ticking fashion, taking the oxygen off. It was repetitive, okay? And then I feel like I'm the son. I have a decent job. I'm a welder, a custom fabricator. Well, they were giving me shit about me choosing my mom. So I pretty much told them, fuck you. And something in my heart told me that I had to be with her. And so I went over and I slept next to her every day because she was waking up and not realizing where she was at. And it
Okay,
was
now
scary.
was she in her apartment at this time, or was
Yeah,
she?
yeah, at her apartment. That's where she came.
How far were you guys from each other?
That Barnesville's about 35 minutes from where I live at.
Okay, so it's not
So
that bad.
that's why I just had to be there.
Okay.
And she didn't want me. She wanted me at work, and she was
Right.
bitching at me the whole time. You got to go to work. You're gonna lose this good job. Blah blah blah. I'm like, Mom, you didn't raise me like that. That's not even the question. Blah blah. So a month goes on, and they're telling me that, when I was really adamant when she first got there and when she didn't know who she was, I was upset. So they were kind of like, with my overactive talking, they were like, "What is this kid saying?" Well, long story short, I was trying to explain the Seroquel incident to her and why she was acting like this and what was going on. Well, she's like, "Oh, well, this medicine right here, this triliptin, this could be causing that. All right, you shouldn't be giving her that." So then we don't give her that. Well, long story short, everything was cool. She started getting better. Well, then the nurse the second week gave it to her and was like, "Whoa, you're not giving that to her? You got to give that to her. She could have a seizure." So then I'm in the middle like, man, my mom was always real strict with her medicine. You didn't touch it. She handled all that. You know
Did
what I mean?
she have seizures in the past?
No, it was a bipolar and an antidepressant. It would just, if you come off of it too fast, it could give you seizures, just like
No, absolutely, like
benzodiazepine.
a Abilify or something. But usually when
Yes,
they
yes,
manage,
yeah,
when they manage seizures, they give you something like gabapentin or something to that effect.
yep.
But
It was in the same family as Abilify, pretty much.
right,
I believe
right.
oxycarbamazine. But anyways, so then I'm like, wait a minute. So then when I start giving her that again, the twitch comes back. So then I'm like, wait a minute. There's a direct correlation between this medicine and the twitch. Whatever happened, maybe how it was reacting in her body now because of whatever, it was reacting bad. I finally put it together. So mom was still mad at me. And I was like, okay, come move into my house. We got the room. I'll work going back to work, then that way I can know that you're taken care of, my girl will be here, everything will be all right. She was okay with that. So I moved her in here. She started getting better. Like everything, this is like a month and a half into it, all right?
Now, did she still have sciatica? She didn't have any cancer
Yes.
or anything, right?
She had leukemia.
She had no, but I mean at this point, like was
No,
it
no, no,
true?
yeah, no, she just had chronic lymphomatic leukemia, blood cancer. So then they just acted like when they did the hospice the first time that was it, and then they just don't even care no more. But she got home, the sciatic was still bothering her, so now she's been bedridden because she can't even get up from the bed to go to the bathroom at all again because she just couldn't catch her egg, and so, but she was still better. So then it's St. Patrick's Day, okay, and the whole time I was at her house, I had been reading the book, The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. Okay. Well, she seen me reading a book, and she's like, "What? You're reading a book?" Well, March 17th, you did a video on the Emerald Tablets, and me and her, I brought her
Astrotheology and quantum physics in the Emerald Tablet.
that one for sure. All right, yeah, quantum physics. Kind of weird how it's all connected, but anyway,
Yeah.
March 17th, right? And so I'm sitting there, and she knew who you were because I'd forced her to watch it. And within the last month, 2 months that I was over there, I was watching it anytime Leak Project came on, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She was learning it whether she liked to or not, put it that way. All right. So, we're sitting there talking. And I mean, I don't know. I've never told anybody this. We're sitting there, and she's sitting there crying because she didn't have any money to give. And she was contemplating death in her head. Okay, it was a realistic. I didn't blame her. Okay, well, I'm like, Mom, I don't want money from blood. That's not me. I don't want the energy involved in it. I was like, Mom, you raised a good man in this fucked up world. I'd say that's more valuable than anything that you could possibly give me material. Okay,
For sure.
straight up. And she always was against. My mom was tortured by the time she was 12. Just put it that way, okay? At every sense of the word abuse. She was a tough cookie, okay? Well, we're sitting there talking about it, and something got us into, about the book. We were talking about the book and your work and the quantum, how it all tied into the planets and everything. And she knew I was really into the stars lately, and we're talking, and I'm like, Mom, let me ask you this. And I'm like, can you take any of this material stuff with you? She kind of looked at me like, no. I could see the contemplation on her head. And I'm like, well, do you agree that there's something that makes you, you, and me, and Shanika, and vice, And she thought about it, and she's like, yeah, I do agree. And I'm like, well, according to all this stuff, you take that with you. And I was like, whether you're talking about this right here, and I look at the tablets, and I'm like, whether you think you're gonna go get your heart rate on a scale with a feather, whatever, it's all their perception of this, whatever this one is.
Right.
And it clicked in her head because she was always against the narrative, and that was the first time that I ever seen my mom contemplate God and actually believe. Like I could just feel it. Just put it that way. I'm real sensitive to energy, and
right.
I could see the light bulb go on. And then the next morning we wake up, and she had a stroke or a seizure, and she was completely paralyzed from the neck down. And it was just like, it was just me and her though, man. She was there. Like they thought I was crazy, but I was down to the point of like, Mom, I know you're in there, because she was moving her butt out of where she had urine. So then that just proves to me that you're still in there. Why else are you moving out of the urine? And I was like, I know you're in there. Give me 2 blinks for no, 1 blink for yes, whatever. That's how we talked. All right, for the till the 19th, bro. And that was another Friday. Okay, it was a full moon in Virgo. My mom was a Virgo, and she always acted crazy when the full moon came out. Let's
Yeah.
just say that. Well, they come that day, and her ears were pinning. I woke up that morning, and the smell was in the air. I don't even know how to explain it. I just knew. Okay, my
Right.
dog, my 5-pound Yorkie, he knew. All
Right.
right. So the nurse comes that day, and they come up with this bright idea, right? That Mama was still twitching from the Ativan, and they were saying that, oh, well, they can't give her no more strength with all the medicine they're giving her. Well, the Ativan was not, it wasn't acting on her. Mom was still complaining about pain, was taking that like a stringent regimen, okay? And they were over regimen, if you ask me. But that's just how Mom was, all right? Well, they come that day and they're like, "Oh, well, we think we got something that'll help with her twitching, Halperdol." And I'm like, "What?" Like, I didn't want to let her know that I knew that much chemistry. All right, and I'm
Right.
like, "So, ma'am, so how? This is a totally different classification of family. Like, how are you gonna address her not having a seizure from the benzodiazepines if you're just gonna switch her like that?" And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 no. This medicine will address that." And I said no. I I asked her. I asked her yesterday. I told her and I told her, and I was like, "Mom, they were trying to give you this new medicine. Do you want it?" She gave me 2 blinks. Okay.
Right.
Well, anyways, I went into my room. I tell my girl, and I pull my hair, and I'm like, "Dude, Nick, they're trying to give her this medicine, and I don't want them to give it." I tell her the deal. She doesn't. She's naive to it. I tell her what it is. She's like, "Oh, hell no," pretty much. So I come back out, and I'm like, "No, don't." She's not getting it. As I'm coming around the corner, that nurse is squirting this 1 milliliter in her mouth. Okay, and my mom, I had already been feeding her water or giving her water 1 milliliter at a time since the stroke because she just couldn't swallow. All right, she
Yeah.
literally from here down, it was the craziest thing. All right, it was like
Yeah.
a baby, but just
Right.
anyways.
Right. Right.
Anyway, all right. So then I just didn't know how to act. I was in such disbelief that the nurse just gave it to her. I came in and told my girlfriend. I was like, "Whoa, like what's going on here? I can't believe she just did this." All right. And the nurse is like, "It'll be okay. I'll be here for the next 2 hours. It'll be okay." All right. Well, 2 hours goes by. My mom's in a chemical restrained. Okay, can't move no more, but she's still there. I can feel it. All right, she's there. Well, a nurse goes upon her day, Friday, to go do her rounds or whatever. Well, I knew I had to go get my mom's friend right then. I went and got her. Drove the 35 minutes to the house, brought her back, seen her, had my girlfriend and our daughter sit with her. Came back. She was still in that state. I knew that's what it was going to be, bro. I just knew it then. Like I said, when I woke up, the essence was in the air. Well, so I get back there. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning. The 19th just hit. All right. Well, I heard the gurgles. I knew what time it was. I never heard that sound before, but I knew right then what it was. Okay. So we call the nurse. We do the oh shit thing. What do we do? Call them. They're like, we're on our way. By the time they get there, I shit you not, 30 seconds before the nurse gets there, my mom has a heart attack in my hands, in my arms, you know? And my mom was holding on, dude. Like, this was a tough bitch, man. All right? And I could feel her, and I literally looked at her, and I'm like, Mom, I won't be mad at you. I won't. I understand. And as soon as I said that, it was like it was gone. And that was it. And here comes the nurse at the door. And meanwhile, I'm dreading, thinking it's the nurse that gave her the Halperdol. That I'm just, what am I gonna do when this nurse gets here? All right.
Right.
So it wasn't. Thank God, it wasn't. But so, long story short, with all that, I had a history of drug abuse, very much so, very extensively. I was Whatever I did in life, I did it to the fullest, okay? I grew up in Pinellas County, Florida in the early 2000s, and there was like more oxycodone getting prescribed in the three counties, like Pinellas, Broward, and I believe Miami-Dade, than the other 49 states combined. Like, you can look it up. It's real. So I became a product of the environment, whatever, went down the wrong path because, like I said earlier, I was the athlete, and then when I didn't get drafted for baseball, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, whoa, so this is what I was good at, and that's what I started. Well, I did that for about 10, 11 years. Pretty hard, man. And then for whatever reason, and actually, I think it was March 19th, bro, I got off probation in Florida. I never put this together before either, bro. But that day, and I just knew I had to get out of Clearwater. I knew I'd be dead or prison. I didn't know why. I left a girl that I've been with for 8 years right there at the airport in Tampa, and I just knew I had to do it. My mom was up here. My mom had tried to OD, kill herself when I was 18, so I hadn't seen her in a couple years, and she was doing good. And it's like, I'm so thankful I did all that. But why this all comes full circle is because I can honestly say I'm a very quiet, reserved person. Like, if you knew me out in the street, you wouldn't know me other than the polite guy that holds the door. Okay, and if I wouldn't have had this to see that it was all one and like demystifying the Christian Bible and all this stuff for me, I don't think I would have reacted like I did. Because like literally, honestly, I've had years to dread about what I was going to do when my mom died, because me and her were tight. We were, we weren't always tight, but we were at the end. And it's like, I always thought I was going to react poorly. Just put it that way. The easy. I honestly did. I just bought a house in 2019 before all this stuff, or I should say purchased equity. Anyway, but it, I could have thrown that all away in a heartbeat, bro, because in a mindset of an addict, whatnot, in that type of thinking, there is no thinking in it. If you get that, it's just a doing behavior. It becomes so routine and ingrained. And so this stuff showed me that I honestly do believe I came about the law of one, the raw contact about like with Wilcox and all that stuff.
Right.
And your work really kind of materialized it for me, if you can put it in words. You know what I mean? And it's like, wait a minute. So you're telling me, like I said earlier, all of these, and I was like, they got to be describing some type of transcendental something. There's something greater than what they're all talking about. Bottom line, like there's no argument,
Right.
And oh. I'm thankful for you, Mr. Dank. The real maester, I hope you guys know what that means. You should by now if you're on this channel. But, and my girlfriend always used, well, I should say fiance.
Congratulations.
I stand corrected. But
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we made it to the Serpent Mound on 11/23/2022. But anyway, man, she always used to tell me that how do you know so much general of everything? You know too much. You can't do that. And then when she's seen you, because she's another one that I forced having learning. But she was like, wait a minute, you can do all this stuff and be good at it and have, and still succeed. And then I smoke way too many cigarettes. All right. So then when I seen you smoking, you were like, kind of like an idol of mine. And so I've never commented on YouTube ever before in the 11 years I've been on YouTube, ever. I swear to God. And watching that interview with Truth Seeker that night, I didn't even know who he was, I just something felt compelled to comment. And I'd just been off a fresh Santos Bonacci binge for like months, okay? So I really meant that. From my heart, dude. Honestly, like I do. I'm not trying to be on your jock or anything, homie, but I understand where real wisdom is, Like I told you that first time, real eyes, real eyes.
Right.
But I hold you in regards with them mentors because that's what saved me from going back to all that negative. Is yourself, is all these mentors, is this wisdom, and you can't put a price on that. This is like so far greater than talking about price. Like this is, you can talk next dimensionality or whatever you want to call it, because it's, and it, I'm just thankful. Bottom line, I'm thankful, man.
You know, it meant a lot to me because you wrote me a letter. First of all, you wrote me a letter that I actually. My mom was here for 2 months. She lives in France. She was here for 2 or 3 months. She was here for 2 or 3 months, and people send me shit. People send me stuff like tokens of appreciation, letters. So she made a scrapbook of all of it. So your stuff is in there too. You wrote me a letter where you wrote out what you said at your mother's funeral.
Yeah. Can I explain that for you?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I usually don't do this with interviews too, but if you want to come out and have a cigarette, feel free.
But it's 28 degrees where I'm at right now.
Oh, it's like the same here.
Yeah, weird. But for real. Oh man, I tried to have everything ready for this, and I shit the bed, man. And don't even have my lighter. Hey, Neat. Shut him up. It's too loud. Smooth operator. Sorry. All right. Now we're more at home, but that's one thing I can tell. Since day one, honestly, he doesn't know me other than our connections on this from me being a supporter. But, man, I don't even, when I seen you, and then like I said, when you're even like, to me, smoking the cigarettes, that showed me that you could be a real person doing this extra information, quote, for lack of better words, you know, and I could relate to you so hard since day one. You have been down to earth, man, and that's another thing that drew me to you more was because, you know, like I said, I watched all those mentors, okay, but none of them even, and I never reached out to any before, but I never also thought that you would respond in a million years. And when I woke up that next morning and seen it, I was like in disbelief. Like I was like almost like, whoa, what? And then I just wanted to tell you thank you. And when you did the video the next day on crystals, like I got a real fancy for rock hounding and all types of crystals, and I got a good collection going. And that was like my centerpiece, like my master one that I sent you. I hope you know that I pulled out of the ground myself, and that's like a 10,000-year-old Native American flint scene, like sacred and like. You should research that flint. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so
right before
you told me that
right before I went to the post office, something popped into my head. Send that letter. And I'm like, what? And I'm like thinking to myself, why would I send this man this letter? Literally. And I'm like, it said just send it. And so at the last minute, I wrapped that crystal up and I put that letter in there, man. And because our first time that we had ever talked, when I asked you if I could send you something, you were like, yeah, don't send me no dicks, though. So then that's why I rhymed it in that first original letter. I put no dicks, tricks, or rainbow pics because when we were talking about one, the week that I'd met you, I had just seen 5 crazy rainbows, okay? And I sent you pictures of rainbows. So he's probably like, who's this dude sending me rainbows? But that's how that, let me explain that one. But I sent that letter and I figured that, you know, somebody with your knowledge, you might actually get the the under layers that I put in that. Okay, and uh, I called it is peace up or down. When you did that video, it literally made me cry. Me, my girlfriend, everybody. All right, like I can never thank you enough for that, bro. Honestly, from my heart, bro. And that was just to put any type of positive on that negative experience in my life was I'm eternally grateful, like I said, you know? And
And I love the fact that it got your mom to question God. I think I might have done the what is, you've seen my what is God video, right?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know? And that's literally and that's what I like about you too. Nobody's putting it together like that. Everybody's beating around the bush or whatever, but they're not quite actually let's get down to the details of it. And like I said, that personified a lot of stuff for me. Your work. It actually, I could relate it to the actual world I was living in for once, instead of it all being up in the clouds. If you get me, if that makes any type of
Yeah,
sense,
it is. It's true. Yeah. And it got your mom thinking about God, which is, you said lifelong atheist, right?
bro. That's not even the word. If there's another level past that, that's where she was at. Okay, because she was always the thing. Why could these things happen to me if there's really a God, like they said? And I'm like, dude, well, have you ever questioned? Because that's the next part of it. When we were talking about the soul, I'm like, I believe that we're all a puzzle piece, and that whatever your soul is, whatever my soul is, I'm like, I don't know about you, mom, but I can't create no humans with souls. So I was like,
Right.
right there tells you there's something greater than our understanding. And that
Yeah.
was, like I said, light bulb. Ding. And that was when she was still talking because she ate 3 meals that day. She wanted the kids in bed by 7 o'clock bedtime, like her routine. I'm like, okay, we did it. We did it, you know?
It's
But
great, man. So got your
when,
girlfriend into watching these videos too?
yeah, she likes you too. What do you mean? And she's not a non-esoteric person. Like I'm an Aquarian and she's my Leo, okay? And so as much as I am in the air sign, she's in the physical. Like
Right.
if I gotta get
You
in an
guys are
argument, I
also you
call
guys
her.
are also you guys are also opposing signs.
Oh yeah. And when I proposed at the Serpent Mound, Aquarius was on the one horizon, Leo was on the other.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. It's amazing.
You know, right at the time that we happen to get there by chance. And
It's
it's
amazing.
just like I don't know, man. I've been tracking the stars. It forced me to go deeper because I grew up in the beach where there's so much light pollution. I didn't even realize what I was missing until
Yeah.
I came here. And by chance, this was like the only place we could afford, and it just worked out that this was it. And it happens to have a dark back area that I can take good pictures and actually learn the sky. Because with the combination, I suggest if anybody's into this astrotheology, get Micah's work. You could take that first book, bro, and go through the references, because that's what I did, and take a planisphere and line it up, because it'll just connect some dots for you guys. It did for me, and I'm just a guy. But you know, that letter I wrote, man, my mom hated rhyming. She fucking hated it. Like literally, my dad used to do it, and it was like it drove her nuts. Okay, so that whole shit to be rhyming, I tried to make it like one more sun thing, like haha, that kind of aspect to it, and it was considering her funeral. But you know, when when you go through all that stuff, my mom never cooked one day in her life, ever. And that's when I wrote in there, that her cooking was the best, even if it included to go. But might I add, you did the most amazing job reading my gibberish because I know what that letter looks like, and you did hats off for me. Because really, my my tempo is a thing of its own for sure. So
Yeah.
reading that, you're probably like, wow. And I tried to take my time and do it nice. I
I had
hope you did,
my wife read it and she started crying.
bro.
My wife read it and she started crying.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. I wrote that literally as one big long thing, just a
Yeah.
run-on sentence. And when I
Yeah.
put it together for that letter, it came out. The first one's 3 sentences, the second 6, and the last section's 9. And I
Yeah.
have a thing with 11. My numerology works out to 11. I'm really into that. And there's 551 words in that thing,
Nice.
just by chance. I'm telling you, man. And it's weird. My mom died on her birthday was an equinox, September 21st, and she died on a cusp date. And that it's weird that it's kind of some synchronicity. I know I've used it a lot, but
Yeah.
it was. The full moon was directly above my house when I went out to put her in the hearse in Virgo. Right next, like crazy. Like,
Wow, man.
and then it just really showed me that how everything relates is really the hidden secret, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Wow, man. I knew that my work had affected you, but I guess I didn't realize just how much. And this is the kind of stuff that this is the kind of stuff that I love to hear, because when you when you start going on interviews and telling people you could decode the Bible, people look at you like you should be put in a mental institution. Do you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's a
Oh yeah.
really hard thing to get into. And when I first started doing that, I never imagined that it was going to affect so many people. And I love hearing stories like you. And if anybody out there wants to come on and share a similar story, because the fact that you said that my work kept you from falling back into old bad habits means
Bro.
the world.
Dude, if you one day when we go when we come up our paths cross, you'll get the real full story and you will even understand even more. Okay? This is just I'm eternally grateful, brother. I really am. And like I said, I'm the most quiet, reserved guy. Like when you asked that, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I I'm into pendulum divination, okay, and I asked the pendulum, and the pendulum gave me the hardest yes answer that I could have possibly, and I knew I just had to put my big boy pants on and do it, you know?
Nice. So, out of the work that I do, because I know you follow my channel, um, what do you enjoy most?
Dude, honestly, I think it's the combination of all of it, bro. And me personally, the astrotheology, because I might be biased towards it, though, because you can't, all the other all the other stuff. When I read that first book, bro, I literally, because I was so familiar with wisdom teachings and all that other stuff, I knew that to all be fact. Like I just knew it right off rip. I'm like, how did he do this? I've never read a fiction book in my life that I enjoyed. My girlfriend read that book in a day before I got home from work, and I was pissed. Okay, so she loved it. Just
Did I
saying.
send you? Did I send you the set?
Yeah,
I
and
sent you,
that's how. Yeah, autograph. So that's why, man.
of course.
It ties it all together. Y'all need to go get the set. Just straight
Yeah.
up
Well, you know why I had to do it in fiction, right?
because they wouldn't palette it. They wouldn't be able to get it. Like it would just blow their mind. Their mind would be like, "Dank bomb," you know. But
Yep, that's what it is. I studied like George Orwell, 1984, Aldous Huxley, Philip K. Dick, Jules Verne. I studied all these people, and I was like, they tell truth in fiction, and that's what sticks with people. Because you know what? On the surface level, people are going to read the book and they're going to be like, that's a really cool story, because I do put a lot of fringe science, fringe medicine, and random facts in it. But then when you like really understand the astrotheology and stuff and you're going through the books, you're like, holy shit. I have it
bro,
layered, so that's
dude,
basically what I
yeah,
do.
it's right in front of your face the whole time. That's what I love about it too. And that's life, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's the answer's always right in front of your face,
Wow, man.
and it's just keep up. You're gonna, like I told you on that night, if haters aren't hating, you're not doing something right. They got to do their job too. But and that's literally how it all started for me too. Was I had a cousin that I never really knew growing up. He had overdosed and died. He was really young, and I just kept putting myself in his perspective. Like, why me? Well, he was very from an affluent family. I grew up from nothing. Okay, my inheritance was this cat that I got. Okay, but I I wanted to do something to try and give back. So we tried to start a nonprofit organization with his pastor. All right. And I can remember this. I tried talking to him when we were about to write we were trying to do it official. I was writing everything up, okay, doing it right. He wanted me to be the chairman and everything, and I started thinking about it. Why does this Christian guy want you? Because they got to look into your finances. But anyways, that's neither. But it, he literally, when I mentioned the Lionsgate portal on 8/8 and wanting good energy for this nonprofit organization, he literally told me that because of his beliefs in God, that he is not to be distracted by God's creations because it says so. I swear. And that literally put such a bad taste in my mouth right then that I didn't do it. I didn't go through it right then. And that's what I literally set off on a path right then to be like, dude, I'm going to get these answers. Like, there's no way. And now to find out that it's all astrotheology, it's like the joke's on you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. For real.
It's amazing. Brother, man, I appreciate you coming on so much. I'm going to put this up tomorrow because I already put one up today. But, dude, thank you for sharing your story. I hope it was cathartic for you to get it off your chest.
Bro, I haven't told that to anybody, bro. And I think that might be, and I didn't even register that aspect about it. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just tried to get back to work, man. They realized they kind of felt bad that after my mom died and I was a good worker. So I tried to get back in it because that's what my mom would want. But I just don't want that mundane existence. And you give me an exit. That's my favorite thing about you. You give me an exit from my mundane 7 to 5, breathing nasty fumes, everything. You give me the exit.
I
So thank you.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, man.
And
Hey,
thank
guys.
you for throwing. You didn't know my mother. You didn't have to say those nice words. When you said that about the what you said right after was so perfect about, because I always told my mom, I always told that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It merely changes state.
So that was, I forget who wrote it, but it's called "You Want to Let a Physicist Speak at Your Funeral."
It
That
was
whole
it was so fitting, bro. So fitting. So thank you.
No problem, man. It was much love meeting you, and
Hey, likewise. Hey, it's an honor when you, like I said, an honor. Just keep up the work, brother.
thanks,
Here,
man.
I
Give
told
me
you it
give
right.
give
Sorry.
your fiance much love too, okay?
All right, I will.
All right,
She'll
man.
be happy. Hey, she'll be happy I acknowledged it in real life. Huh?
Yeah,
Have a good one, brother.
brother. Take
Thank
care.
you.